Good morning, everyone. My topic today is the psychological effect of entrepreneurship. I just want to also test something to see if ever I'm speaking to the relevant people who will relate to my story. How many of you are in business? Okay. And how many of you are aspiring to become entrepreneurs? And how many of you don't even think about becoming an entrepreneur? Okay, we are going somewhere. My story began at the age of 12 when I stayed with my grandmother. Being at home in the small village in Lesotho, it was such a privilege to be a farm girl. I used to run after the chickens, I used to ride on horses, and I used to farm. The best thing I can tell you, I know how to milk a cow, how to make ngomboti, right? Ngemotogo ka Sesotho. Bojwala, yes. I can do that. I can even make a mad house. Those are the precious things. When we're at home, we used to really find joy in doing such things, and they bring some contentment within us. And today I always say, I want to go back to the time when everything was so cheap and we could afford and still be as happy. And for someone who's looking at me riding a horse would think today I'm wealthy. And I used to do it. When I turned 12, my great-grandmother got sick and she was hit by a stroke. All of us had to look after her. But everybody else had to be involved into the farm and had to go out to the field, and I was the youngest to look after her most of the time. She would ask me to feed her, to bath her, and sometimes it was hard when I had to change a nappy. At the age of 12, you can imagine, it's something that you wouldn't think is possible for that young child to do it. But somehow I fell in love with her. I don't know why, but I really enjoyed spending time with her. Of course, at that age, I want to go out and play with other kids, but I knew my responsibilities, that I have to make sure she has water, I've changed her nappy, and I've actually put her comfortably on bed. She would experience some pains now and then, and she would ask me to massage her hand, and she would give me a Vaseline to say, just rub it, my child, it will be better. And I would just do it for the sake of doing it because I didn't even know what I was doing. And she would say, wow, you've got therapeutic touch. Oh, at that time, yes, I would say, Granny wants more of this. I really didn't believe that she meant it. Up until one day when I came back from school, I threw my bag in the cupboard, straight into her room. I found her holding a glass of water with her right-hand side. And she said, look, you've healed me. Something inside me moved. And I started believing that I've got something special. And you can imagine, when someone tells you that you've got therapeutic touch, the next thing and the next mission for me was to see her walk out through that door, to make sure that that foot of hers, she can step on the floor and walk. Both of us were hopeful about it. And it was one thing we were really working hard towards. Unfortunately, I didn't see her walking out through the door. She was taken out through a casket. She passed away a year later. I was touched. Life goes on. I have to go, and I had to go into high school. At the time, my parents took me back because I was coming from Klerksdorp and my father was coming from Lesotho, so I stayed with his mom. Back in Klerksdorp, my mom is a beauty queen. She wears beautifully, she puts makeup, she looks at me and says, that's not my daughter. Now she has to groom me to be like her. And she would teach me how to sit, how to walk, and all the poses in the world I would just do. No wonder I'm photogenic today. Now it makes sense. I now realized that the choice of a career I made, which when I went into tertiary, is because of my mom. I chose a course called somatology, which is the study of the skin and human body. I then realized that the reason why I chose it was because of only 4 subjects. I mean, there were a lot of subjects, but only 4 were too appealing to me, which was the makeup, the facials, manicures, and pedicure, anything beauty, because I knew how it made me feel. I loved being beautiful. I loved looking after myself. And I knew that doing that, it would put a smile into many women like yourselves. On my 3rd year, I then had to do a subject called stress and relaxation therapy, reflexology, aromatherapy. It's all about massages. It's all about mindset. It's all about the ability to help one to change the way they think, the way they feel, and to become better. And then I got to realize, oh, okay, this is what my grandmother has been saying to me all the time, especially when I started seeing a lot of queue coming, waiting for me to be massaging them. I got to do experiential training in Wombats, and there was a gentleman that I would never forget that I did reflexology on. He was suffering from thyroid. He didn't know it. He's been suffering for a very long time. And the day when he came to me, I said to him, I think you need to check something. I cannot diagnose you, but I can recommend you see a doctor because I believe there's something that you need to really look at. He went to a doctor, and indeed, he had a thyroid problem. And he was treated. You can imagine. 3 weeks later, he came back, and he asked for me specifically. And when he came back, I couldn't recognize him. He was a bit bigger, and he looked different, very skinny. And I said, oh, okay, but you look different. He said, yes, it's because now they're treating my thyroid. Remember, you picked it up. And you can imagine now the determination of him wanting me to pick something else. Unfortunately, I could only pick up what I can at a time when it's there and it's represented. But that, for me, it really confirmed the point that I've got therapeutic touch. And as you know, the more clients you start seeing, the more people start demanding your attention, the more you're thinking, now is the best time for me to start a business. That's basically how I started my business. But I want to tell you, when I started my business, it was the right time when I met the most handsome man. And when I also fell pregnant. And at the time, did I tell you that I didn't have medical aid? Did I tell you that I didn't have a car? And so many other things. I had to make sure that I have support around me. But it was hard juggling. It was very hard. At one point, my daughter got sick. I had to take her to a doctor. I remember very well I took my helper with me. Oh, bless her soul, because you're that woman. I got there, and the doctor is asking me, when did she start getting sick? Then I looked at my helper. When did she start getting sick? And then she tells me, then I tell the doctor. Remember, she can't speak English, right? So now I have to translate. And then, what did you give her? Then I ask, what did you give her? And then I look back. The third time, the doctor went, when did she start teething? I was so embarrassed to go the third time and ask. And I realized I've actually been absent. I have outsourced my responsibility of being a mom. Literally, I did. And you know, at one point when you start growing a business and things are starting to go well, you even forget the responsibilities of even looking after your own health, looking after your relationship with your partner, looking after or being a sister or a friend. My friends wouldn't invite me to their parties because I was too busy. And I'll be offended. Like, hi, I come to parties as well. They're like, we didn't invite you because we knew you were going to tell us you are busy. And indeed, I was busy. I was busy building a business. I was busy trying to make ends meet. I was juggling life. And while I'm neglecting myself in the process. Can you relate? I started employing people. Now the business is growing. I started winning competitions. A lot of competitions and recognitions. Awards after awards. I started building a business and diversifying it from just being a one-man show to a point of us going into corporate, being the stress busters, therapeutically touching life. Then there was a birth of an organization, because one thing my mother taught me well was, as you start a business, you need to start giving back. You need to start making an impact. You need to start making a difference. Little did I know that now I will move from being a businesswoman to a social entrepreneur to an NGO. The money started depleting. Every money, every cent that came through that business was going towards giving to others. I would take from my children, my husband's credit card, I would take everywhere just to make others happy. And later, it catches up with you. You can't give what you don't have. I started getting sick, high blood. I had 3 miscarriages. It was tough. Up until a point, I came back from hospital. After evacuation, I was lying there, and I said, something must change. I was tired, exhausted, fatigued. 15 years later, I didn't love being a therapist. I didn't believe I still have it in me to touch others. Because what more? Because this is energy flow, you exchange it. If you are not well yourself in your soul, what more am I transferring to you? You will receive what I give. So in that way, you end up leaving. Contracts are ending. Clients are leaving. You are left with nothing. That's business. Psychologically, it affects you. That moment, then you start not even having a 5 rand when you are in the mall to pay for a parking ticket. That moment when a client says, can we have a coffee? Let's talk business. You're thinking, oh my Lord, I hope he's not going to ask me to pay for coffee. You start negotiating with cents. Well, it's like you take the routes where there's no toll gate so that you can, things can move from a high point to a low point. And sometimes it's not because of you. It's because it's meant to happen for a reason. When I woke up from that bed, I went straight to my husband and I said to him, I'm tired. I want to close this business and I want to go back to school and study MBA. Because I figured out that after MBA, I'll start something great. I really was ready to exit. Imagine, after 15 years, letting it all go. Starting afresh in the unknown, MBA was the answer for me. And he said to me, you don't need that. You have done MBA practically. The only thing that you need is to fall back in love with the reason why you started this business. What does it mean? Fall back in love. I'm ready to leave. And my CV is ready, by the way. I had to really go in to myself and understanding, why did I start this business in the first place? What was the reason for me to go into this business? And you know what? It came to me. I realized that it's not about the number of massages that I've performed, the number of clients that I've seen, but it was the transformation and the impact that I made in their lives through my touch. And I realized that if I can do it with my touch, I can do it with my speech, and I can do it with my presence. I need to shine the light because I believe I've got it in me. That is why today I proudly call myself the transformer. In everything that I do it with a great understanding of why I do it. I do it with a great understanding. Why is it important for me to speak life into situations that are dying? Why is it important to you as a business person to understand the reason why that brought you into that business? Because it's not only about money. But as the money starts coming in, we shift and we get caught up into things that sometimes kill our passion and the reason why we started the business in the first place. Today, I speak to magnitude of people. I groom my own children, whom I neglected. Today, I take them into business because I sharpen the skills and the talents that I believe they have. I have been awarded all my mentees because I work as a business mentor, that life that I've transformed through the knowledge that I've gained, the 15 years that I've been in business. It's time that we start giving it out to others so that they can do better than us. I'm featured and I write articles about transforming lives and living in the purposeful moment. I speak in different platforms and I realize the power of tapping into other people's knowledge because we don't have it figured out, isn't it? Now and then, you need to know who to talk to. You need to build networks and you need to leverage. Because what got me so exhausted, so tired, was because it all rested in me. I had to be the one to do it. And if you are running a business where you can't delegate and you can't duplicate yourself, you are bound to burn out. I'm about to write a book, and the book is all about changing lives, transforming lives of entrepreneurs, specifically women entrepreneurs, because we shy away from entering into the business world because we do not allow ourselves to know who we are. We've got it within ourselves. And I got to understand something, that entrepreneurship is a mindset that is shaped by many challenges and victories. And often at the beginning, it's more challenges than victories. And I got to realize that I have to build resilience. And I've got to trust in God to keep me going. When you build resilience, it's that moment when you realize that out of adversity, during those challenging times, you are so strong and you are more courageous. And sometimes you are more stronger than you thought, even more resourceful. That is why I could turn my life around. That is why I can become more stronger than when I started. Because at the time when you're sitting at the bottom there, you want to give up, you want to dust off your CV, you want to change your career, you don't know what to do, you are stuck at the cul-de-sac and everything is just blind. It's just black. Many of us give in, but it takes a resilient person to bounce back. I'm asking you to be resilient. I'm asking you to fight, and it's about time. You fight with all you have to get what you deserve. You believe in yourself. You believe in the ability to be who you are meant to be. The why. Every business should have and understand the why. Every employee in the business should understand the why. Everybody walking through that door as your client, they come to you because of the why. And if we know why you start a business, if you know what's your purpose, if you know what we call it's a Chinese word called ikigai. When I learned ikigai, which is basically where my passion, my mission, my profession, and my vocation meet, I felt complete. Because if you just run with passion, you don't understand your mission. Somehow there's a disconnect. And they even show here, passion and mission, when they meet, That's where love is. Where mission and vocation meet, it's what the world needs. The profession and vocation, where they meet, it's what you will be paid for. And lastly, the passion and profession, where they meet, it's what you are good at. So what are you good at? What are your strengths? What are your skills and talents that needs to still be sharpened? Because if you use what you have, you are bound to see greatness. You are bound to defeat those ends that crop into your mind that tells you that you are not good enough. We get to that moment even in business where we don't think we can and we can afford it. And I believe in planting seed in others. I believe in helping others, because I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't through the help of people that went through the journey with me, the people who believed in my why. That is why you will then thrive and you will be at peace, not in turmoil with yourself. It's about time, ladies and gentlemen,